Hello, I'm Bud McCord. It's October 29, 2020. Welcome to Food for Thought, Thinking with Jesus. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. And I also have good news for you. You can think with Jesus. Imagine the difference it would make if you took every single thought captive to Christ until your thinking is in complete harmony with his thinking, because then your behavior can align and be what it should be in this world. You'll be able to love the way you want to love and you need to love. The devotion of today is entitled, Cain Still Kills Abel. We're going to talk about religious violence, and it's a devotional about how do we deal with the fact that in the name of religion, people kill other people, and that's going on. This was the headline news this morning when I woke up. And I was reading the devotional, and I just took a look at the headline news this morning, and it said this: terror in church, 3 killed, 1 beheaded, even more hurt in knife attack on French faithful. Cain still kills Abel. Now let me read the devotional, and we'll think about this a little bit together. In the first 2 chapters in Genesis, the Bible says things in the world are very good. By the time one reads on to Genesis chapter 4 in the Bible, Cain murders his brother Abel in a religious rage. Evil moves fast. Based on this biblical story of the rapid human descent into family, social, and religious violence, it is hard to defend the idea that today's world is essentially worse than it has ever been. Things have been essentially bad as they are for a very long time. What has changed is the scale and the size of evil, not the essential nature or speed of evil. In reality, there are simply more Cains killing more Abels. The Bible narrative continues to be relevant because it always tells the truth about humanity. No matter how ugly or beautiful the human story may be, the Bible still explains it perfectly. Though humanity may not be all of one religion, we are all biological blood brothers and sisters. We are all biological family, and Cain continues to kill Abel. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings. Acts 17:26. We are still one humanity in this sense. Whenever one person in the name of religion murders, they murder their own blood brother. In doing so, they are Cain killing a truly innocent family member. This kind of original religious hatred is exactly what the Apostle John pointed out in John chapter 3, verses 10 to 12. In this, the children of God and the children of the devil are manifest. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is he who does not love his brother. For this is the message that you heard from the beginning, that we should love one another, not as Cain, who was of the wicked one and murdered his brother. And why did he murder him? Because his works were evil and his brother's righteous. In God's eyes, the murderous religious rage that afflicts our world today is nothing new. It is the same religious rage that led Adam and Eve to conduct the first family funeral. Can you imagine what it was like for Adam and Eve to bury their son who had been murdered by their other son? It's hard to think of something so profoundly horrible and sad than this kind of violence that hits within the family. But it still hits within the family. The religious rage in France today is Cain killing Abel. So what can we learn with this? I think the thing that I wanted to put into your mind that you can think with Jesus about is when you read a headline like the one that I just read from France, you immediately sense this tremendous deep sadness and heartache. At least I hope that's what you would sense. I know other people are celebrating. That's Cain. And I don't think any of us want to be Cain in this story. Now, what should I think when I wake up to such a headline? Should I think this? The world is getting worse. Violence is on the rise. the world lies in the evil one? Should those be my thoughts? The world is getting worse. Violence is on the rise. The world lies in the evil one. Or should I think this? What would God have me think? How about if we thought this? Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The world has been this way since we lost the Garden of Eden. But Jesus has been the same every day since and every day before. And forever he will be that. What can we learn from this story? What can we learn from the story of Cain and Abel? We could learn a tremendous number of things. But I want to give two things that I think might be helpful as you think this through in your own life. Number one, we need to understand what God expects of us, and deliver it. The story of Cain and Abel are two brothers who thought they understood what God wanted. And Cain brought the fruit of his own labor and his own sweat and his own toil. He brought a bloodless sacrifice, but he brought a sacrifice covered in his own sweat and hard work. And he wanted God to accept him based upon how hard he had worked. And God rejected that offering because God didn't want his work. God wanted his faith. God wanted him to say, I cannot, but I believe you can. I am not, but you are. He wanted Cain to come to him humbly and admit that he had no ability to put his life back together unless there was another life given for him, which would eventually be the life of Jesus. So you need to understand what God expects of you. He expects your faith. He expects your cooperation. He expects you to understand that you cannot, but he can, that he is, that you are not. He wants you to start at zero rather than bringing things with you to say, hey, look what I did. Surely you'll accept what I did. He rejected Cain's attempt down that road, and he accepted Abel's. Understand what God expects of you. God expects of you a humility before his presence and a thanksgiving for what he has done in order to forgive you and to save you. The second thing is entrust everything to God. Entrust everything to God. That is, even the length of your life, even if you happen to be murdered by an enemy, entrust everything to God once and for all. And do not become Cain. You know, in that story of Cain and Abel, you can read it in Genesis 4, and I suggest you do that. Would you rather, in the story, would you rather be Cain or would you rather be Abel? A million times more, I would prefer to be Abel. Yeah, but you're choosing a shorter life. You're choosing a violent death. How can you want to be Abel? It's because I don't want to get a little bit of life right and live a longer life. I want to get life right. And the only way that I can get life right is to give to God what I can give, which is my attention, which is my faith, which is my hope, which is my love. I can give these things to God because he first gives them to me. We love him because he first loved us. The world is very violent, and religious violence is one of the saddest kinds of violence that exist. But even so, Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Think on those things. Take those thoughts to Jesus.